Doesn't say we're live. The broadcast is live. Welcome back, everyone.
Good timing, James, for your coughing. That's perfect.
Yeah. I've been waiting to do that. Um,
You were holding it.
so we show a reservation for 7 billion, and
Yep.
we're ready to start with the hors d'oeuvres. I'm wearing my Cesar hat today out of
I see. That's
solidarity.
great. I have the same one. I should have worn them.
Well, this is my. You gave me one years and years ago, and it finally just bit the dust. It was so faded and beat up, and
Oh, I thought you were going to say it finally fitted. Your head grew enough, right?
I lost enough hair that I could get it on. Then we met quite a few years ago now. He ordered another batch of them, and we got them in, and they went immediately. But I managed to get one before they were gone. So
Oh, cool, man.
I don't wear this
No,
one
I
as
have a
much.
few. I have a few. I even have a white one, which is
Oh,
really
right,
rare.
and with the logo in color, right? Yeah,
Yeah, because we tried white on white and nobody could read it, so we changed.
yeah. Well, I'm wearing it today because, most of you know, but those of you who don't, we're still under siege at Cesar. Our landlord, Alice Waters and Chez Panisse, want to kick us out. And it looks like they will probably be successful, in which case our lease will expire July 31st. And so we'll probably close a week or so before that to get everything out of there. They are determined to deliberately destroy a thriving business, a key component of the North Shattuck business community, and a much loved social hub for thousands of people that come to Cesar every month. So it's baffling why they want to do it. It seems to go against all of their
So
preaching.
I know, that's weird. Well, that's called hypocrisy.
Yeah.
So what they
So
really want to
anyway,
they want to really close. They're not. They that's it for sure. I mean, pretty sure, right? You're gonna leave.
they're not talking to us, and
Oh, wow.
their GM sent an email to us that basically said, yeah, we saw the press, we saw your protest, but here's what we're doing, and he outlined what
Wow.
they're going to do. So I think they're just sitting there waiting it out, and
Right.
Alice she just doesn't realize how much animosity she's creating from the community.
But also how much work it's gonna be.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I don't
to
think she cares about that. She's got a lot
right,
of PPE money to spend, and
right. That's true.
they got like $7 million from the
Yeah.
government. So
And we got like dog shit. I'm
yeah, I think we got
sorry to
about a
talk like that,
hundred
but that's
grand at
that's true.
Cesar, which
How much?
we got about 100 grand at Cesar that
Yeah, I got twice that.
we
But I
spent
mean, yeah, exactly. We
spent
had to
that
spend it.
immediately
We had
just
to spend it. That
on
was the
wages.
deal.
Yeah,
Exactly. Me too. I got 250 something, and we had to spend it on staff and
yeah,
rent. So we had to pay all this stuff almost right
right.
away. It's
Yeah.
crazy. There was nothing. Anyway, well, um, I'm sorry,
Anyway,
man.
we're looking at spaces, and the hope is that we will find something in the general area that we can move to and just take everything from Cesar, the wine
Right,
cabinets, the bar,
right,
the banquette, the furniture, the kitchen, everything, and
right,
just move it to a new space and reopen.
right.
But we'll see. There's only so many spaces, and
Well, that's the
we
thing, and also you have to transfer your license.
yeah. So I mean, it's a
So
big
that's
deal, and
so that means there's going to be no license there.
right.
That's what I'm
I mean,
thinking.
we
And
do own
so
our liquor license, so I
no,
think we
I
can
know
take
that,
it with
and
us.
but
But
you have to transfer it into the area. So anyway,
right.
because otherwise that license is going to be expired, and so you own a license, and they have to apply for a license for that place. So that's
Yeah,
the thing.
yeah. So that's
Anyway,
that's the news about Cesar so far, but we're still there. We're very busy, and
that's crazy. I
people
know.
are coming in because
Wow.
they're two reasons. One, they're loyal supporters and they want to give us as much business as they can so that we can survive, and
Right.
also because they feel like if we disappear at the end of July, they want to get their fix of Cesar as much as they can.
It's going to be a big disappointment for Berkeley.
Yeah,
We know
yeah,
that for sure. That's for sure.
yeah,
It's completely
yeah,
ridiculous and incredible. It's weird that after all the stuff, the bad stuff that happened with the COVID and all the stuff, we still have to deal with
Yeah,
greed and the elites and all this stuff. Anyway,
especially since we were
I'm kind
open
of
all
done with I'm
pre-COVID.
kind of done with all this, man. I'm seriously done.
Yeah, it's it's just unthinkable, and it's bad juju. It's anyway, a
Anyway,
lot of our
so
customers say they'll never set foot in Chez Panisse again. We'll
whatever.
see. I mean,
That's another thing.
who
So
knows?
anyway, we do have some questions today, though.
We have more
Still,
questions. These are
we're still
real
here.
questions from fake
We're
people.
gonna still do our thing, right? And we don't care about
That's
anybody
right.
else. Actually,
That's
it's true.
right.
We don't care about anybody else.
But
What
we
people
exist
think.
in cyberspace, so we're not really real even. We are
So
we are virtual.
yeah, you have some good questions, Cesar James.
Yes. Once again, these are
Well,
these are actual questions posed from students after they finished their courses at Kitchen on Fire. They did a little exit survey, and they had an opportunity to ask questions of the chef, anything they wanted. Some of them are silly.
I know, great.
Some of them are really good questions. Some of them are just questions that we hope will, start some conversation. And I thought the one we'd start with is one that I think is confusing for people, people have a misconception about chefs. And I think so. The question is, does a person have the title of chef
No,
when they
yeah.
graduate from a prestigious cooking school like the CIA? And then it says, how about from Kitchen on Fire? I think that's kind of a slight, don't you? It says when they graduate from a prestigious cooking school, and then it says, how about Kitchen on Fire? Does that mean Kitchen on Fire is not prestigious?
Well,
Anyway,
it's not accredited. I think that's what I meant.
right, right. You're not like the CIA or the Cordon Bleu or whatever.
I'm
But
more
it's
like
a
the
good question,
FBI.
and the answer is basically, what is a chef? A chef is the person that runs the kitchen.
The James, the answer is no.
Right. The answer
The
is
answer is
no.
no, absolutely not. A chef, you have to gain your grade, man. It's yours.
And if you
Anyway,
work in a kitchen, in a restaurant kitchen, it doesn't mean you're a chef. It means you're a cook in a restaurant kitchen. The chef is the person in charge. It's chef means the chief. It's the boss.
yeah,
It's jefe,
head.
the head. Yeah, and it's the person that plans the menu, that hires and fires, and just oversees the whole operation, that part of the restaurant. Some chefs also own the restaurant and oversee the dining room, but in most situations, the chef oversees the back of the house.
Well, we
Someone
talked about
else.
that a little. You guys, whoever was here last week, we talked about that a little bit last week with someone in the kitchen called the expediter. That often the chef does
Often the
that.
chef. So when you graduate from a good cooking school, like if you go to the Culinary Institute of America, which I
Right.
mentioned, by the way, that's the CIA I referred to, not spy school. Um,
Oh, I thought that was the FBI,
yeah.
FBI annex.
So when you graduate from the CIA, or if you graduate from the 12-week program at Kitchen on Fire or any other
Right.
good cooking school, hopefully it means that you have basic skills knowing how to cook. You have knife
Right. It's
skills,
true. You
you
do
know how to
have basic skills.
saute, you know how to do basic things in the kitchen.
You, it means you can take directions really well. That's what it
Right.
means.
So and presumably it also means you've learned the language of the kitchen.
Right.
So if you go to work in a kitchen, and somebody says,
Yeah.
I want you to be on garde manger today, you know what they're talking about, and you can go
They
and
don't
do
say
that.
that, James. They don't say that anymore.
That
They
I
don't.
know.
They don't even say that because the training would start from like nothing. They since less and less people wants to work in the kitchen, you have to really start on the basic, which is a big problem for chefs. We have issues because we have too many unskilled people, and this is what I do actually. I'm going back to the bread project. I didn't tell
Oh,
you that, like I forgot. I'm going back to the bread project, and this is really cool. I've worked with them for 4 years, and I'll talk to you more about it when I start. But I'm going to go back to train refugees and also people that have been incarcerated. So we're back to that
oh,
program. I'm really excited.
great,
Yeah,
great.
I'm actually back to that. I met with them last week, and we're going to go back to the curriculum, and I'm back on the saddle with that. That's really cool. Super
That's
happy.
great.
One of my
You know,
favorite programs.
that's one of the things about going to a big cooking school like CIA. It's not cheap. And
Oh wow, yeah, I know.
some of these people go
So
into great debt to go there, and
right,
then they go to work in a
right.
kitchen and they're at a very basic level and they're not making very much money. And
No. So
it almost makes more sense just to go get a job in a kitchen and work your
I would
way up.
say yes. I would say yes. So I never went to school, obviously. I never went to school. I don't went to school. I left very early, right? I was 15. I went to work with my mom. School was not for me, and I learned a lot from different restaurants. And the thing about I learned a little bit of the techniques with each chef, and it took me longer, yes. But like you said, when you go to a cooking school, you learn the basic stuff. So basic is you could take 2 years to learn or 3 months, like we do at Kitchen Empire, right? It's not the same curriculum. I teach home cooking at Kitchen Empire
Right.
to cook really healthy, really quick, super efficient. I'm not teaching you to take order from the chef and to say yes, chef, all day long. That's not what I'm teaching. I don't care about this type of attitude. It's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for you to be healthy and happy in your kitchen. Happy
Right.
is the base for health. So
Right.
if you're not happy, you're not going to be healthy anyway. So you need to
And
be
if you
you
don't,
know.
if you're not having fun, you're not going to keep going back to your kitchen to cook. You're
Kenny
yeah.
knows, right? You could also marry into, well, that's very true. That's happened to my mom.
Yeah,
Not my mom, my
that's
grandmother.
a good way to get into any business, is to marry the boss's daughter or son, whichever.
Or his father.
Um, yeah, and a school like the CIA, they are really training people to go out
Yeah,
and
no,
work
it's
in
a
an
good school.
institutional kitchen.
And the cordon bleu,
You learn everything from nice skills to how to make croissant, and the idea is you could go work for the
no,
Hyatt Regency somewhere or
I
on a
don't
cruise
think,
ship.
James, I'm not sure you, oh, my friend, Fish is back.
Hey,
Fish is one of our chefs, is really, really cool, super cool, chef.
I just know I could cook. Yeah,
Chef, we need you in the kitchen back.
yeah. Well, classically, a lot of the great chefs in France, they went to work very young in a kitchen somewhere in a hotel or in a big
Well, Chef
kitchen.
Gabby.
And
Oh, we should
they,
have get
yeah,
Chef
we
Gabby
had
back on the
Gabby
show.
on in the old show, and he talked about that. He started at the bottom, and you just work your way up, and
Well, he
you
did the
know,
compagnonnage. He did the real deal with the compagnonnage for 2 years. So
yeah,
when you got at school, when you are out of school, then you have to go compagnonnage for 2 years. You go to all the great restaurants, work for almost free,
yeah,
and then but then you end up working at La Tour d'Argent, for example. So that's pretty cool,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And those are places you can. It's like the level of understanding that you learn there has nothing to do with school. You can't learn that in school. This is absolutely no way. The level of beauty and incredible craftsmanship you see in restaurants is just incredible. Those
yeah.
restaurants like La Tour d'Argent, Le Grand Véfour, um, La Serre, all these, and then also what is that super restaurant, les Trois Gros?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we should do a whole thing. Les Trois Gros. That the story is really incredible. We should talk about that next time.
There's a whole
Those three
family.
brothers, the three
Yeah.
brothers,
I
Les
knew
Trois
one
Gros.
of them. I knew one of them in New
Oh
York.
wow.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
a great guy. Marvelous cook. Yeah.
So that's the training. So that's where, if you go to a train in a place like that, you are you are set, man. This is way higher than any school, anything that the school can teach you. There's no way.
Well, it goes back to the old system of apprenticeship, I mean, whether you
Yeah,
wanted to be a cook or a shoemaker or a,
yeah,
house painter, you started as an apprentice and you learned from a master,
totally.
but you were learning on the job, and you do basic
Oh yeah,
things in the beginning, and as you acquire
that's the
skills, you
thing.
get higher and
That's
higher on the ladder until presumably
that's
eventually you become a master.
I thought that was when you smoke, you get higher and higher.
Well, that too, yeah. So,
No.
yeah, I mean, that's how Jacques Pepin did it. I know a brilliant chocolate maker in New York, and he went to work for a hotel in Switzerland and worked his way up through the ranks. And along the way, he learned how to work with chocolate. and it turned out that that's what he really wanted to do. So he specialized in that, but he went all through and became a very good cook. There's a lot of need for self-starters. Of course, you just do the same. I was fortunate to have a lot of leading last. I was doing sugar art and designing an
Ah,
aged
nice.
steak program. Oh, nice, very
That's
nice.
beautiful. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah,
We need more steak in our life. That's for sure.
yeah. More aged steak too. Um,
more, more old steak.
so anyway, I think that answers the question. I think you go to cooking school to learn
Yeah,
how to
no, so
cook,
you're not a chef.
and
And
and being a
yeah,
chef is a professional position.
you're
It's
managing people. You're
yeah,
you're creating the menu. You see what the trends are. We're going to talk about trends in a minute, but we see what people are going to want and what our people are looking for.
yeah.
Because you can put anything you want on your menu. If they don't sell it, what's going to happen, right? It's not going
And
to.
ironically, as we talked about last week, yeah, chocolate making is an interesting craft. But ironically, the chef in a big kitchen often doesn't cook at all, at least not during the business hours, because they've got a line of cooks doing the work, and they're overseeing and they're
Yeah.
expediting and they're doing other stuff. So yeah, uh, people think a chef stands at the stoves all day, but it's not really true. Not always, anyway.
Now, he either come in the morning, do the setup, all the
Hmm.
prep. Some
All
chefs
the
do that,
buying. The
and
chef wants to
sometimes,
be there when the food is coming in to see it, and yeah,
or they can come in the evening, or they can come for the shift. They can decide, but they can't do both. They can't do unprepping and cooking. So they have to delegate. It's one team does the prep, one team does the cooking.
right.
So you don't do no, you don't do both. Everything has to be prepped first, cut. So when the restaurant is open, the food just is being cooked à la minute, means just
Right.
like
Yeah, and if a restaurant is open for both both lunch and dinner, a
uh,
chef can't be there 16 hours a day. I mean,
and that's crazy because what
you
Japanese
could, but you'd burn out pretty fast.
they want to open breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right?
Oh yeah,
That's
crazy.
how do you gonna? I mean, that's a lot of work.
Yeah,
That's a lot of work.
it's a lot of staff. I mean, that's three
A lot
separate
of, that's what I'm
groups
saying. That's a
of
lot of
staff.
staff. Anyway,
Crazy. So
yeah.
that leads me to the next question, which is current food trend? What is a current food trend that you're most tired of? Well, I
Well,
think we're
Chef James, while we do that, I'm just gonna start my. I have a bunch of ginger. I was looking. I'm just gonna start cutting stuff. That this is
okay.
my ginger. If I don't take care of it, it's gonna go bad.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna take care of it right now.
And what do you mean by going bad? It sort of turns
It's
soft,
just
doesn't it?
gonna,
It gets
yeah, it does,
mealy.
but it may mold also. Oops,
Oh, right,
you see?
right.
Oop, my camera is off. Sorry, guys.
Uh-oh. Oh, good. I thought that was me.
No, I thought that was my hand, but you know what? I don't think that's my hands. My hand don't look like that.
If your hand looks like that
Uh,
garlic, you've
Boom.
probably got arthritis. There we go.
Okay, so all I'm gonna do, people, there's a bunch of ginger that's super fresh still, and all I need to do really is cut whatever's not pretty, and then
Uh-oh. You disappeared. You disappeared. All right. Well, since you're gone, or am I gone? I'm not really sure, but assuming it's you, I'm going to continue with this question. What is the current food trend that you're most tired of? And I would say the current food trend that I'm most tired of is food trends in general. This goes back to what we've said all along on the show, and that is to eat real food, to eat a variety of food, to eat a lot of vegetables, a lot of protein, um, and not buy into these trends. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, if the trend is artichoke paste, then you want to eat that. Well, that's fine. As long as it's real food that's not made in a factory somewhere, then you're fine. You're back.
what
Are
happened?
you are you back or am I back?
Let me see. I'm back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, did you
I'm
see what I was
front.
doing or no?
I was alone on the screen, so I assumed you had left, but I was answering the food trend question while you were gone.
Oh, thank you. How long was I gone though? My thing is,
Oh, it was 3-4 hours, something like that.
wow.
Yeah, we went through
Did
a
you
whole
see?
time warp.
Did you see my slicing or not?
No, we
Oh
do
wow.
now.
So all I do, guys, is slice it up, and what's gonna happen is it's gonna just dry. See,
Uh-huh.
this is my ginger. This is my turmeric.
Oh, interesting. Now, are you going to dry that in the oven or just air
No,
dry
no,
it?
no, no. It's gonna stay outside just like that.
I
And in
see.
a few days or whatever, a week, I don't know, whatever. That's it. It's dry. But this will last much.
Oop, you disappeared again. I think you must be hitting the off button with your hand. I don't know. Anyway, anyway, I have a much bigger picture now, so this is great for my ego because I have the whole screen to myself. Yeah, so eat real food, eat a variety of food. One of the recommendations that nutritionists have made, meaning you eat a variety of colors. You don't just eat greens. You eat purples and reds and oranges and everything. Eat a variety of food, eat real food, and don't buy into the trends, especially when they're dietary trends. When somebody tells you,
Yeah,
"Oh, don't eat this, don't eat that, don't eat fat, don't eat carbs, don't eat this." It's if it's real food, it can't be bad for you.
yeah.
Now that
Well, you
doesn't mean
can,
you
but
that doesn't mean you can't overeat. You could certainly
right.
overeat, and there are certain categories of food that you should not overindulge in. But like sugar, for example, sugar is a great treat, and pastries and chocolates and things are a wonderful part of life, and it's great to treat yourself. You just don't want to just binge on that stuff. You just want to. You don't want to, and you don't want to put sugar in friggin' everything. There are people that have to make everything sweet. Are you taking my picture? Oh, you're gone again. Anyway, I won't belabor that point because we talk about it all the time. Every show we have, we talk about eat real food, and um, I stand by it. So the next question I have, you're back.
I don't know what's going on, man. I might have to. I don't know. My software is not working very well today. I'm
Well,
working on a software online, a new one, which is
well, I'm assuming that when you go away, I'm still online, so I
yeah.
just
You're
keep
you're still
talking.
online, yeah.
So I've just been talking, and yeah, frankly, it's been great because when you're gone, I get the whole screen to myself. So,
Ah, that's it. I can give you the whole screen.
oh wait, oh there we go. Oh my
See, look.
God. Maybe that's not
How
good. Maybe that's too much of me.
about here?
So
All right. I'm gonna
here's
keep doing
another
my stuff,
question
right?
that we've touched on before. I think we've mentioned it a couple times, but I think it's a really good question. I think it's really important. And it says, please explain the concept of terroir.
Okay.
Now,
Do we only know what does that mean?
well, it's derived from the French word for earth.
Terre.
Uh, Terre, yeah, it's the earth, and what it means in terms of food. It comes if the concept comes from the world of wine. Is the molecular gastronomy still a thing? Yes, all gastronomy involves molecules, so we're all for it.
That's funny.
I think that is a thing with some people. I
Uh,
think it's faded a little, but
oh yeah, they did a lot. It's because they use a bunch of different weird ingredients that are not really healthy.
yeah,
You know, to
and
make
you need a
molecular
lot of
biology,
equipment, and
it's tough, man.
yeah. So my definition of terroir is very simple. It is the qualitative influence of the soil, the climate, the location, and in some cases the hand of the producer on
Really?
the ultimate product, whether it's
I thought.
wine or cheese or
Okay. So
now I say,
I'm
oh, go
sorry,
ahead.
James. You're gonna include everything, not just the terroir. The terroir is really about the earth, right?
Yeah,
But you're
in terms of wine, it's really about the specific dirt that the vines are planted in. So the specific location, which includes climate I mean, in other words, if you plant the same grape in another area that's got a different microclimate,
Yep.
different makeup of the soil,
The yeast,
it's
the
gonna
microbes, everything.
it's gonna be a different it's gonna have different flavor, different body, different thing. I mean, this is obvious when you take Cabernet Sauvignon from France and you plant it in California. It's not better or worse, it's just different. And the
Yep.
same is
Which
true
they've
with any
done.
grape.
Which they've done,
So
right?
so this concept came from the world of wine, specifically French winemaking, and they talked about terroir. And terroir is a really important thing. You know, when you talk about, you've got some vineyards that are literally a mile away from another vineyard, but it's a completely different wine. I mean, a good example is the great Sauterne Yquem, Chateau
Oh
d'Yquem.
yeah,
There are vineyards that are close by that don't make as good a wine as the wines that are grown at Chateau d'Yquem, and
that's crazy, huh?
it's all about
Yeah.
terroir. Um, Now, this concept from the world of wine has been taken and applied to other things, and I think one of the areas that it's most applicable to is the world of cheese,
Right.
because cheese doesn't grow in the soil like grapes do, but the cows and the sheep and the goats or whatever the dairy animal is eats the grass and the wildflowers and the
Right.
herbs and everything that's growing in a particular area, and it is often reflected in the cheese. So
So, James, that leads to a very good point on food in general. When you make good food, has a connectivity. It connects with the ground and the
right,
animal and the energy and the cleanliness and all the stuff. There's a connection for everything. When you talk about terroir. Now, the thing with terroir, which people really have to understand, is there is the plant, but there's a microbe with it, and
right,
both work. If the microbes is not there, then the plant will not grow properly and it will not make its nutrient. That's why in the US we have a lot of issues because vegetables have the same nutrients, but they don't have any microbe to process all this. So there's no
right,
microbe. This is an overgrowing of out of season vegetables for a growing population of plant-based, which is whatever. But
right,
that the idea is we're destroying the soil entirely
yeah,
by over agriculture. We're destroying the soil. There's no more worm, and the insect can't come, and the birds can't come. So it's a really thing we have to think about, and that's what happened in the terroir. The terroir is everything, and I think there's something crazy like a teaspoon or a tablespoon of earth have like millions and millions of things in there. So you have to consider the minute.
and if it doesn't, that means the soil is dead and
Right,
nothing's going to grow.
right.
um, or if something does
So,
grow, it's not going to be very nutritious or very flavorful.
so the terroir includes microbes.
Right.
Okay, that's what it is. So
Those
we live
vineyards
with
are
them.
crazy steep. They pick the grapes by hand, sometimes use little buckets on tracks to transport the grapes around. Yes, I've seen
Wow.
that. I've been there and I've seen some of those vineyards, and it's just extraordinary that
Oh
they can
yeah,
grow
muzzle.
vines that way.
Yeah,
Um, you know, they say in the world of wine that the heart, and this is true of olive oil, this is true of a lot of things, that the harder the vines have to work,
yep.
the better and more concentrated the grapes are. And
Because of the antioxidant and the it's like us when we force and we work really hard, we challenge our body, we develop a lot of strong immune and all kind of things like this. The plant is the same, and
right,
we're gonna find those nutrients. So if you talk about resveratrol, for example, which is a very strong antioxidant, it will happen when the plant has to fight.
right.
If it's too easy for the plant, there's gonna be no nutrients in there. Pretty cool, huh?
Right. Just think about if your whole life you just got to lay around on a sofa and everybody brought you food and just fed you,
That's
and you
true.
had a remote control in your hand and you didn't really have to do anything.
Yep.
uh,
You get sick
you're not
anyways.
going to be very healthy. But if you go out and work every day and you move a lot, and that doesn't mean you have to go out and plow the North 40 with a team of oxen, but I mean just being
Right.
active and just cooking your own food, going to work, being
And
outside.
that's why James, that's why people that go on the retreat, how do you say retreat? When you stop working,
Retreat. Oh,
retreat,
retirement. Yeah.
retire. A lot of time they get sick.
Yeah.
because you're
because
stopping your activity.
they're used to being active all the time, and
Not
suddenly
good.
they have nothing to
Right.
do.
So,
I never understand that, because I have enough things that interest me that I would stay busy even if I suddenly didn't have to think about money anymore. I have plenty to keep
oh
me
yeah,
busy. Ah,
which how?
his ex is an expert at forcing an organism to suffer for growth. That's great. And
Good
you're a
one,
better
man.
man for it, Kenny.
Who knows? Wow.
Yeah, so that's terroir. Now, obviously, if you're talking about factory-made cheese
Mm,
that's produced with milk that comes from giant dairies where the cows never see grass,
no
never
good.
see the outside really, um, and the cheese is made in a big factory, and it's made in big blocks, and it's aged for about 2 weeks before it's sliced and wrapped and sent off to the supermarket. There's not a lot of expression of terroir in that food. In fact, virtually none, and everything, it's kind of almost like unreal food. So we're talking about handmade artisan cheeses that are made in traditional ways, where the animals have been out to pasture. They've had lots of fresh air, fresh grass, herbs, flowers, all that stuff, and it definitely expresses itself in the cheese. And that's about it. Terroir, good thing.
Yeah. So I'm
Once again, the language of food is in French. Um, this is a really good question that I think confuses people, especially Americans, especially people that are not used to the way things are done in Europe. Is prosciutto actually raw pork? Is it safe to eat? Well, the short answer is no, and yes, it is very safe to eat. It's unfair to say that it's raw. It's true that it's not cooked, but it's cured. And it's cured with the combination of air and salt and thyme, and sometimes for up to a couple of years. And the result is, and once again, our friends, the microbes, have a key role in this. They work on the meat to actually cure it and turn it from a raw meat into a succulent, beautiful, totally edible, and totally safe
and beautiful stuff.
foodstuff. Yeah. And this is true with Spanish ham, German Black Forest ham, all the different air cured hams.
Yep.
Do you use a dehydrator for stuff like this? I was
Sometimes,
on a
sometimes,
jerky bender.
sometimes, but not this case.
So you just leave that out at room temperature to just dry. That's
Does
great.
whatever. Just does
And
its
I
thing.
notice you put it on a rack so that there's air flowing around it.
Yeah. It's air
You don't,
circulation because I don't want any. See, for example, those. Right? They're just drying.
right.
This is just drying, right?
Uh-huh. Yep.
That's it.
All right.
All
So
right.
yeah, prosciutto, Spanish ham, all that is very safe to eat. It's really nutritious. Ceviche is cooked by
Yeah.
acid. You're right. There are other foods that are um,
Yeah.
um,
It's acid of temperature, protein. It has to do with protein. The protein will cook in heat or acid. Yes.
right,
Just like an
right.
egg, just like anything. Like you can put a piece of chicken with lemon. If you marinate it too long, that chicken breaks down entirely. That's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So this is gonna go somewhere else. Go.
Well, this would probably be a good
Mm.
time to mention our upcoming series. We're going to do a whole series on
Yeah.
microbial
Yeah.
in
The
the
help of the
presence of
microbe.
microbes in food production and how important they are.
The help how the microbe helps you, and how we came to today's how we became humans, really. You know,
We have
this is
billions of microbes inside our body at any given time that are
trillion.
they're separate from our body. They're not part of us, but they're in us. They live on us, they live off of us, and the
Trillion,
benefit they give
trillions,
us
man,
is, huh? Yeah,
trillions.
trillions.
It's
It's
crazy. Like we have
virtually
a lot of
uncountable, and we couldn't survive without them. If all those microbes in our body suddenly disappeared, you'd be dead. You couldn't live, because it does so much for the body. It processes
Right.
what you eat. It makes it possible to take nutrients from food. Maybe I shouldn't show up for that because I'm super passionate about fermentation.
That's right.
Um, so anyway, we're going to do a whole series. We're going to have guests on. We're going to have a winemaker. We're going to
Yeah.
have a
We mentioned that last week.
yeah, somebody
So
that makes Italian
we're gonna
sausages,
it's
cheese
gonna take it
makers.
it's gonna take us a couple of weeks to put that together because we have to line up all the guests. But we're gonna talk about the microbes and how they made up who we are today. Okay, this
Yep.
is important. We have a synergetic approach to life. There is a synergetic approach to have because that's how it works. You can't just
Mhm.
isolate a molecule or a compound or a one thing that happens. It's everything together. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Right. 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 It's the circle of
Look,
life.
please, look.
Please, Kenneth, don't show up for that. Please, please, Kenneth, don't show up. No, Kenneth, we want you to show up every week, no matter what we're talking about.
That's funny.
What does it mean to cook pasta al dente?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, then the risotto as well, right?
Risotto, yeah. Al
So actually,
dente basically is Italian for to the tooth, um, which
there's
means,
a
yeah, dente is tooth. It's to the tooth. So it means that you want to cook the pasta and or rice to the point where it's still got some, to where it's toothsome, so where it's not mushy. You want there to be still some substance to it. You don't want to cook pasta until it's just a mushy mess, because it's not very pleasing to eat, and you've kind of destroyed it at that point. So you still want a little bite. You just want there to be a little bite left in the pasta. You don't want it to be hard. You don't want it to be uncooked, but you still want some texture to it. You want it to be able to stand up to the sauce and to whatever else is accompanying it. Um, and it's something that you have to sort of learn by experience,
right.
because
So al
it's
dente has a yeah.
yeah,
You will be there in well, James will be there for sure, right?
yeah, yeah. Please come in.
Yep. Al dente has a I would say a health benefit. Okay, it's like the rice or the pasta. What
Uh-huh.
happens is when you and I know I mentioned that before, but when you eat starch, when they are hot like pasta, you can actually pull the starch and eat the sugar. The your sugar load is high, but when you let them cool or cold, cool, not as hot, they
Mm-hmm.
reconstitute. So the starch reattach to the carbon. That means now they are carb again, long chain. So they'll be digested later, which is very important. So when you eat a potato salad or a pasta salad, they eat less sugar. They eat the same amount of sugar. I'm sorry. The sugar is not going to go as high as quickly in their blood, which is very important. It has to do with your insulin. And this is why eating cold pasta, I don't eat pasta at all. But if you like those starches, then I would suggest you eat them al dente, which is harder to eat, in my opinion. But then you have much of a sugar load. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is important. That's why cold pasta salad or cold potato salad. Post potato salad, I would go more than pasta, my opinion. Uh, Potatoes are good, right? They're
I
fun.
love
Full of
potatoes.
it's full of nutrients. There's a lot of vitamins and stuff. It's not a great, fantastic vegetable, but it's perfectly all right to eat once in a while. I love potatoes, not every day. But if you eat them cold as a salad, then you can put more stuff in there, and you don't have to deal with that sugar load. Okay, keep that in mind.
Unfortunately, for a great many people in the world, especially in this country, potatoes are sometimes the only vegetable they do eat, and they eat it
And
in the
that's fine.
form of French fries.
There's lots of stuff. Yeah, you sold the water, of course. But I would go with more, stuff like I would go with more vegetables myself. If I had to pick
Yep.
like vegetables, like there's so many vegetables to go with. And potato is one of them occasionally, but sweet potatoes, purple potatoes, there's so many different ones, right?
I look at potatoes as more of a treat,
Yeah,
you
like a
know, to
hamburger French fries. That's
yeah,
how you have to
yeah,
do it,
do it
right?
once in a while, but you just don't want to do it every day
Yeah.
or even every week necessarily.
Well, I mean, a couple of times a week is fine. Okay, that's why I want people to understand. Don't stress too much about like enjoy and don't eat everything too much. I mean, really, it's not. How do you make it more simple?
Yeah,
Beets are sugary, but beets are really
beets
good for
should be
you for your blood.
eradicated.
Beets are great for your blood. So rub it is fantastic, but they are
Yeah,
sweet when cooked.
I do not care for beets myself. The only way I like beets is if they're incorporated into something like a
Right,
salad or
right.
something. Or they used to do a beet salad at Brit Marie's over on Solano, where Chez
Wow.
Monsieur is now, and
Monto.
it was arugula with cooked
Yeah,
beets, cold cooked beets, and
that works.
goat cheese and basil, and it was
You can add
delicious.
you can add some shaved fennel to that.
That would be good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Beets
But
and
just
fennel
to eat
salad. It's
beets
very
by
common.
themselves, I'm not so fond of them.
Yeah,
My
it's
wife
okay.
is, she
It's
loves
really
them.
it's good for your blood. Really good for your blood. But it's sweet.
Here's an interesting question that has plagued me for a long time because it just makes me mad. Can butter and margarine be used
Oh
interchangeably?
yeah, right. Oh my God.
Is
No.
margarine better for you? Well,
Yeah, Joe.
I think the better question is, why would you want to interchange butter and margarine? Why wouldn't you just use butter? Margarine is a totally manufactured food. It's not particularly healthy. Um, I
Margarine is
actually
disgusting. What do you mean particular? It's disgusting.
I have a cousin who told
Not
me once that she
particularly.
only ate margarine because of her cholesterol and she couldn't eat butter, and I just thought, you have no idea what you're talking about. Margarine is much worse for you than butter. Butter is actually very healthy for you. I mean, you don't have to eat
Exactly.
tons of it. It's like
Like
anything
everything else.
else. Have a little butter once in a while.
It's like you guys need to relax with all this stuff,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. So,
And just think of margarine as a fake food. It's fake. It's
anything
not
fake is
something you
bad.
should be putting in your body.
Anything fake is not good. So,
It was invented at a time when butter was in very short supply,
and
and
also
they
vilified.
needed.
And also vilified.
Yeah, yeah,
So there's no, there was too many things to. They wanted to remove those fats and sell a bunch of sugar. That's what it is.
yeah. So forget about margarine. No, they cannot be used interchangeably. You should take your margarine. The best way to use margarine, the best thing to do with margarine is to take it and throw it in the garbage. Or better yet, throw it in the recycling bin. Although there's nothing real about it, so it probably won't help any in recycling. You're better off just throwing it in the garbage.
Nice.
Um, and speaking of butter, is French toast really from France? How about French fries? It kind of is.
The
Uh,
toast.
in France, it's called pain perdu, which means
Pain
lost
perdu.
bread,
Oh yeah, right.
which basically means lost bread is basically
Yeah,
bread that's a
right.
couple days old and you
Yeah,
don't want
yeah.
to eat it just as bread anymore because it's kind of stale and hard. So
So you
what do
put
you
it in
do? You
soup.
know that the
You put it in
ever
soups also. Yeah.
thrifty housewives in France would take it and they would mix it with egg and a little milk and
Yeah.
fry it up, and it's delicious.
And in Spain they
Um,
do that too.
yeah.
They call that torrijas,
Oh
and
yeah. Yeah.
that's with white wine instead of milk, which is great, right?
Oh, interesting. Interesting. And in America, it's become a breakfast food. It's become a much loved thing to have at breakfast. I love French toast. Every once in a while, I'll treat myself. Sometimes I'll buy a loaf of bread with the express interest of making it into French toast after a few days, but I don't
Yeah.
overindulge in it. Um,
No, no. You wanna so the you know how to make French toast, right? You put the
yeah.
milk in there, you cook that with eggs. Well, the torrijas, the Spanish wine, is the same with white wine. That's pretty cool.
Oh, that's interesting. I'll
It's like a
try that.
dessert. So instead of milk, you put white wine, which is, fun. And you do the same thing. You cook it in a pan with eggs. You dip it in the egg, and
Mm-hmm.
you eggs and white wine instead of egg and milk. That's it.
Interesting.
It's really cool. And then a little cinnamon, and it's beautiful. It's really fun.
Also,
I mean, I don't.
the way I understand it, French toast or pain perdu in France is really like something you'd make for a simple little dessert. It's not really made for
Yes,
breakfast. I mean, you could
right,
eat it
because
for
they put
breakfast.
powdered sugar.
They
It's
put
just,
powdered sugar on it.
it's like a quick pastry.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah, yeah.
It's like a
And
quick pastry.
French fries probably originated more in Belgium, don't you think? They're famous for their fried potatoes, but who
I don't
knows?
know. That's why we thought that Belgium has
They have
started the fries thing
they,
probably.
they have such a strong tradition of pommes
Yeah.
frites that
Well,
everyone
Léon
assumes
Lafritte. Have you been to
uh,
Léon Lafritte, Grand Plaza?
yeah,
Uh, uh,
yeah.
on. Oh my God, that is really cool.
I used to love going to Brussels and eating. I'd order the mussels that were
Yeah,
steamed in white wine and lemon
yeah.
juice, and you'd get a huge bowl of mussels and a big plate of pommes frites
Right.
and a bottle of
That's it.
some cold, refreshing white wine or beer.
Ben c'est les moules frites de what's his name? Léon Lafritte.
Oh,
That's the restaurant. Léon Lafritte.
oh, it's so good. Mussels in Brussels. And
That's fun.
when you get done eating the mussels, then the broth that's left is
Oh my
almost
God,
just
that's
as
it. That's for
good.
the bread. That's for the bread. That's how
Yeah, I
you
would
eat.
dip
It's,
the
it's a
bread
soup.
in there. They'd bring you like some toasted baguette pieces and they'd dip them in
That's the
there and
name.
eat it. And
So
I
the
would
the
drink
bread.
it. I would drink the whole
Oh
thing at
yeah,
the end.
yeah. It's
So good.
super good. It's
So good.
the meat, the juice from the mussel. So there's a lot of minerals, tons of minerals. There's a lot of nutrients. Mussels have a lot of B12, zinc, beta carotene. They have tons of food. It's extremely beneficial for you. So
Hmm.
mussels are a fantastic food to eat. Zinc, tons of zinc, right?
Yeah.
All the good stuff. Calcium,
That
copper.
that's probably why they're so good for a hangover. We used to have a
Probably.
hangover, we'd go out and get steamed
Oh
mussels.
yeah, and it's very easy protein absorption. So you
Yeah.
get a lot of protein really quickly. And those are like one of the superfood. Clams, mussel, liver, any
Yeah.
offal, all this stuff. Those are superfood. This is how you really become strong and just like
Yeah.
us, right?
Um, well, sticking with French, what defines an hors d'oeuvre? And what does the word
Hors
mean?
d'oeuvre. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have to spell it for so people to see. Let me see.
It's spelled
Hors d'oeuvre.
HORS. Second
Yeah.
word is D apostrophe
Oh, I know it's spelled.
OEUVRE.
It's just
No, I'm
hors
spelling it for
d'oeuvre.
our readers, our listeners.
It takes a mess, probably.
Well, it's an interesting thing because people sometimes when they write it, if they're talking about a variety of hors d'oeuvre, they put an S on the end and make it hors
Yeah.
d'oeuvres. But that's
So
actually
it's
not correct because it's both singular and plural, the word itself, because oeuvre or d'oeuvre means of the work. So it means before the work. Or outside the work is literally what hors d'oeuvre means. It means outside the main work. So you've got your meal, you've got a roast chicken, you've got vegetables, a gratin, whatever. The hors d'oeuvre you start with, it's outside the main work. It's something separate, and it might be something as simple as a little foie gras, or it might be some radishes dipped in salt, or whatever it is. But there's
and you
only
know what?
one work, so that's
And
why it's a singular and a plural word because you don't put an S on the end because there's only one work. So it's
and that's
outside
actually
of
look.
the work.
What about chef d'oeuvre?
Chef d'oeuvre.
Chef d'oeuvre. Chef d'oeuvre.
Oh, that's
So that's the same. It's a special. It's a beautiful piece.
uh-huh.
It's the chef of the oeuvre. The oeuvre is the make, I guess. It's
Yeah.
the work. So it's the chef d'oeuvre. It's like the top.
Well, they talk about
Un
an
chef
artist
d'oeuvre.
they talk about an artist and say their oeuvre, so it's their work, their body of
Yep.
work.
And the chef d'oeuvre, it's like the top.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what it
Um,
is.
So that's it. It basically means something that's outside of the main meal, whether it's an
Right.
elaborate thing or whether it's just could be some olives, whatever. And then there's actually someone else asked, how do hors
Cleaning
d'oeuvres
into it
differ from
like this.
antipasto? Um,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh, here we go. Let's do antipasta,
Antipasto is, again,
antipasto,
it's before. Some people say it that thought it meant before the pasta, but it really
and
means
and
uh,
you can. So in North Africa, it's called kemia,
yeah. I mean,
and
in Italy, antipasto's kind of a specific thing. It usually involves the same kind of stuff. It's cheese and olives and grilled peppers and various
it's an
marinated things,
hors d'oeuvre,
mushrooms.
and it's also so basically you have a bunch of names like kemia is in North Africa, and you have tapas in Spain.
Right.
You have cu,
Mezza,
uh,
mezza in other
meze
parts
in
of the Mediterranean.
yeah, and which one is that? The I forgot. Anyway, so those are small plates. It's kind of appetizers, little
Right.
things to eat, and those are created. Those have been they were born as a snack to eat between friends because when there's a saying in religion. I'm not religious, but I understand religion. We say break the bread, right?
Right.
Bread with someone. This is important. This is where it's a peace kind of like moment where you
Right.
actually sit with someone, even if you don't understand what I mean. But that's even the people that was traveling or the caravan and desert, they was carrying spices and milk, I mean cheeses and nut and whatever, or gold, whatever they were, or fabrics. When they were traveling, that's they have to sit down, and that's the time of peace. So
Right.
sitting down for a meal, it's a peace time,
Right.
and this is what the tapas. You always have a piece of cheese or walnuts or olives or olive oil or vinegar and bread. Those are the base. This is the staple that everybody in the world traveled with. And when they sit down, they always have a little bit of nuts, a piece of bread, a piece of cheese, and or olives, and this is that's pretty much it. There's not much to. Now we have all
Also,
this fast. Now we have all
also,
this fast food. We have all this crazy stuff that you can buy. But in
right.
the old days, that was it.
You had to carry your food with you.
It's
Also, when someone,
fermented butter. Remember? I'm sorry, fermented butter.
right, right, right. And also, when somebody comes to visit you, I mean, in ancient times, if somebody traveled to visit you, they
Right?
probably had been traveling for a while to get to you. Even if they were in the next town, it meant they were walking or riding a horse or
Oh yeah,
whatever, and it could take a long time to get to your house.
exactly. Right.
So when they arrived, you just naturally assumed that they'd be
Right.
hungry and thirsty.
Ex-
So as a
Exactly.
welcoming gesture, you would have some little things ready,
Absolutely.
whether it be just like you said, cheese and olive oil, depending on where in the world you are, it would be different kinds of food. It might be some fish, it might be something, and a little something to drink. And then you'd have the main meal later. After they arrive, then you would cook the main meal because you might not know exactly when they're arriving, but you could have all this little stuff waiting for you. And that's kind of where the tradition began. It was a very friendly, civilized way, and a
It's
very,
always
very
around food.
respectful greeting. Somebody arrives
Always,
at your
always,
house and you offer them something to eat.
always around food. Food and
Yeah.
drinks. Always, 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 always.
It's a
So
very personal
yes,
thing to share food with
mezzo,
somebody.
middle, midi. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
And uh,
The
tapas
Mediterranean's in
is
Middle Earth, is that true? Do they have hobbits there?
well, Mediterranean. That's very possible because basically, Mesopotamia is between two river.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah.
that was a very simple way to express yourself. So food has always been the glue, huh, to bring
Yeah.
people together, and even if you don't speak the language, you can really having a good time around the table with just enjoying your meal with someone. So that's always, always, always. Right.
I've had many meals where I didn't understand what anyone was saying, but we
Well,
all
that's when I was
understood the
eating. That's
language of the food.
when I was eating with you. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No idea what I was saying.
I just let him talk. I don't know what he's saying, but I just let him talk.
You just keep nodding.
I just say yes, yes. I watched a
Um,
movie the other day. There's a wonderful movie with Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn called Woman of the Year, and she's this dynamic news person. She's very famous. She speaks 7 languages, and she's always got all
wow.
these people at her apartment from all over the world. And Spencer Tracy's just this bloke. He's a sports writer, and they fall in
Yeah.
love, and he comes to her place for this party, and he's a total fish out of water. Everybody's speaking French and Russian and Greek, and he sits down, and this guy comes over and sits down next to him, and Spencer Tracy says, well, this is quite a bash. And the guy looks at him and smiles and says, yes. And he said, do you come to these little soirees very often? He goes, yes. And he keeps asking him questions, and everything he says, the guy says yes. And finally, Spencer Tracy kind of looks at him and he goes, you have no idea what I'm saying, do you? And he goes, yes. And he goes, you're just like an idiot worm or something. He just calls him all these names, and the guy just smiled and says, yes.
That's funny. Oh my God.
Uh,
Ah, oh
the
man,
Latin phrase.
damn! Well, your throat is not good, huh? Is it
No,
getting
I got to
better?
go back to my garlic thing.
You should do that all the time with your,
Defenestrating.
yeah,
Kenneth, what are you eating over there? What are you
yeah. What is this smoking? That's what I want to know.
finest
Um,
or
Jim, garlic and honey. Don't forget the
yeah,
honey.
that's what I'm gonna go do after I get done here is
You
go
should
do
get your,
another.
you should get the Manuka honey. That would take care of it. It's expensive, huh?
Oh yeah.
It's
I have
like,
some good
uh,
local honey that's
right.
very
So the
rich.
Manuka is specifically because the Manuka bush has a special antibacterial that's really, really crazy.
Mm. Club
Yeah.
sandwich
So,
and nihilist dismay.
okay. Can you?
I love nihilistic dismay. It's one of my favorite dishes.
I like
I en-
Neil's display. I like the display more than dismay. You guys, we have 3 minutes more.
well, here's a
So,
really quick question.
Jim, do you want
Yes.
all the 3 minutes for yourself?
Don't I always? Uh, Here's a really quick question that I think we can answer very quickly. How do you
Cool.
sharpen knives at home? Um, the short
I,
answer
I
is
would,
don't. Send them
yeah,
out. Have a
I would say,
professional do it.
yeah, I would say no. Let's show them next week. I can spend
There
some
are
time.
ways of sharpening your knives at home. It requires a little elbow grease. It's not easy, and it takes practice, and it's hard work. So, you know, another fun sinister is Latin.
Yeah,
Left is
yeah,
sinister, dexter
yeah,
is right.
exactly.
Dexterous means you're awesome, and left hand
Yeah,
means you're
because
the
left is
devil.
that's true because left was considered as a devil's hand, of course,
Yeah,
forever. True.
sinister. Wow, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah. It's la sinistra.
huh, huh.
All right,
Well, there you
guys, we
go.
need to wrap it up though because sharpening we could show honing next week. I can show that.
Yeah,
I can show a little bit of sharpening. I can do that. So write
yeah.
it down, Jens, because last time
Okay,
uh,
because we tend to forget.
we
Um,
for
Also,
that I use a honer.
for those of you that go to the farmers market on the Saturday, I don't know about all the farmers market, but on
Oh
Saturday
yeah,
farmers market downtown Berkeley,
yep.
there is a guy that does knife sharpening, and you can drop your knives off and go shop the market, and then come back and
Is
pick them up, and he
is
does
it
a great job.
Waze, right?
Huh?
His name is Waze.
I'm not sure.
He's been there forever.
Yeah,
He's really, really good.
and he's right at the beginning of the market, so you
Yeah,
can drop your stuff, go
fantastic
all the way
guy.
through,
Yeah,
come back.
it's not cheap, but you guys do that once a year. It's really
Yeah,
to take care of the knife. You do it once a year, and then the rest of the time you hone, and I will show you how to do that next week.
yeah. And there's a real science behind it, so it's interesting
Ah, okay.
to do
Well,
that. And
then I need to learn that first.
yes.
All
um,
right, people.
what else
So
was I going to say? Oh, I was going to say
I
one
don't know.
thing
You have
really
a minute.
quickly. Last week at the farmers market on Saturday, I discovered there's this Japanese woman down at the far end, and she sells steamed pork buns. Well, she sells a variety of things, but I bought the pork buns, and they were so good. They're
Oh wow.
all made. We took them home and put them in a bamboo steamer, and we steamed them at home. and man, they were delicious. They were so good.
You know, we might be at the farmers market. I'm hoping to get on a Saturday's farmers market with the reboot with my drink.
Oh,
I'm hoping to be there because I can serve it by the glass. So you guys can experiment. If you are in the area, come and see
oh,
me.
great
I'll
idea.
let you know. It's gonna be really cool. Yes. So
Kenny,
Kenny,
you should explain why you don't have any hair on your arms when you sharpen knives. That's the best way to
all right,
tell
guys,
if your knife is sharp.
we are done. Next week, Kenny we'll take a picture of your arm next week, and
Yeah, next week we'll have Kenny on shaving his arms live
we'll call
on our
and while we call the police at the same
yeah.
time. All right, guys, have a good
That's it
week.
for
Be
this
careful with
week.
your throat, James. Let's talk. Let me.
Yeah, I need to get back on it. I've been remiss.
All right.
But
Bye, people. Thank you so